was massive. An outraged U.S. President Bill Clinton ordered cruise missile strikes against bin Laden's suspected training camps in Afghanistan, and a pharmaceuticals plant near Khartoum reportedly linked to the production of chemical weapons for bin Laden. It didn't stop the attacks. In 2000, a dinghy packed with explosives rammed the Navy destroyer USS Cole, killing 17 sailors.
Sheltered by the Taliban regime, hidden in the rugged Afghanistan mountains behind me, Osama Bin Laden had a free hand to plot his next terror atrocity. With key lieutenants by his side, including spiritual advisor Ayman al-Zawahiri, he helped to mastermind the 9/11 attacks against America. The United States responded quickly. The Taliban regime was toppled several weeks later, and then Osama Bin Laden went underground.
Shortly after the devastating suicide strikes on the U.S., Bin Laden, in hiding, released messages praising the attackers. In the years that followed, Bin Laden and his network inspired dozens of terrorist attacks around the globe. Now that Bin Laden is dead, the only question that remains is whether al-Qaeda will continue its murderous campaign against perceived corrupt Muslim governments and Western infidels. Will fanatical Islam wane now that its favorite poster boy is out of the picture? Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Back now live in Washington, D.C., where you can see crowds are gathering outside the White House, celebrating the death of Osama Bin Laden. It's interesting, we were watching President Obama on C-SPAN at the White House Correspondents' Dinner last night, and he made a comment at the beginning of it that I thought was a little bit odd until I found out the news tonight, when he said, "What a great week it's been." And it seemed to me that obviously he knew what was going on, and he knew that they were closing in on Osama Bin Laden, but in retrospect, he seemed very relaxed and very comfortable at that last night. And now you know why, because his administration, his people, and the people that work for him as the leader of pretty much the free world, and of course our military, have taken out Osama Bin Laden. You can look at the guy there dressed like Uncle Sam, and the flags and the cheering, and just all the families of the military that are just enjoyed tonight.
During tonight's speech, the president actually talked a little bit about how since 9/11 there has been a lot of racial profiling. He did mention tonight that Muslims are also celebrating, because during his speech he said we must also reaffirm that United States is not and will never be at war against Islam. Bin Laden was not a Muslim leader. In fact, he slaughtered many Muslims. So it was important to point that out, because since then we've had so many dealings with that, and we've covered so many stories where a lot of Muslims have felt wronged by the racial profiling due to this.
We all remember where we were on 9/11, and tonight we'll remember where we are when we heard this news. This is in New York, where so many firefighters lost their lives as they ran into the burning towers as they came tumbling down to try to rescue people. And you can see now that they're gathering there, and you know it, they're going to be out there all night long. And they've got the lights flashing on top there, and they're remembering all their brothers and sisters that were taken out.
See, people are just coming in, they're just starting to gather. So
I would suspect this is the picture. Yeah, here probably. It's a place in L.A. I was in L.A. when it all happened, and of course everybody called. But if you were living anywhere, your parents called, your family called. Are you okay? Are you doing all right? Right, exactly. That morning, and so nowhere though has it felt more than it was in New York. So I'm sure this is just the beginning of what we're going to see. A long night of celebrating as people
It'll be an emotional night for many of them.
That's for sure. We're going to wrap things up for just a second. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back with a little bit more news.
Your days are packed.